Maybe we'll see you.
See you later.
Is there anybody that wants on the list? Okay.
Yes. See you over here.
All right, we've got a few more empty seats than we did before. All right, we're going to start the open mic. Just a reminder, family-friendly material, please. Step up to the mic. Don't be afraid to project. And we're talking about 2 poems or 5 minutes tops, okay? Make sure that everybody has an opportunity to read.
Is this take sequence? There you go.
All right. Oh, and I will just remind you about next month. I think next month, which will be February 10th. We have Carter McKenzie and Jenny Root. And you will like that. So please come next month. All right, just to kick us off with a real short one. Faceless and nameless. Let me move as a shadow in the veil of the world and rise out of tall grass as a fruited tree. Let me be faceless and nameless. Let me brush by unnoticed. Let me come as hammer and lumber, as shovel and garden. Let my fingers come as nails. Let my toes come as seeds. Let me leave a bench I have built in the shade of ripening pears. Charles Thielman. Come on down.
Wow, look at this crowd. So I'm going to read 2 poems. I'm working on a collection of poems. I started doing Tai Chi. Started doing Tai Chi about 4 years ago, and well, actually 2 years before I left, moved down to California and came back. I now do a kind of modified Tai Chi. I call it Chi Boogaloo. Yeah, because I play some music that's pretty zippy and do deep, no, well, not very deep knee bends and other movements like Tai Chi, and some martial arts along with that little Tai Chi. So, but I'm working on these poems, and this is part of my revision process. Is reading to you and sensing that in my own response to reading it, as well as your receptivity. So I got my antennas out here. So from Tai Chi poems. Palms raised. Seal cries arc through salt fog. Gone voices singing in marrow. See the roan here's geyser from passion. Embers and seeds and ashes along a shoreline. Embers and seeds and ashes along a shoreline. My life flares a blue cape above undertows. Shells broken, revealing relic after sacred relic. I follow this current's pole, balanced between disease, injury, and strength. A buoy bell clangs guidance. Listen as winds cup gray fog. my hands filling with soft pearls. So let's go for the shoreline. Thanks. So this is a poem I've read a few times, but in gatherings I like to read it. When I drove bus in Portland for about 10 years, and afterwards I would go down to a jazz bar called Jazz to Opus, which is on Northwest 2nd and Davis. And you had to walk fast on the sidewalks at that address. Anyway, but I go down after work and wearing my uniform because I wound up meeting some fellow drivers down there, and there was a real diverse community, and everybody would be down there, and I'd catch this last 2 or 3 sets, or last set, so and they had many jazz greats down there, Leroy Vinegar, Mose Allison, and so forth, as well as local groups like I'll remember his name some other time. Jazz to Opus, Portland. Carrying spurs of transit, staccato, I retreat to hear from driving city bus. Yellow brake squeal turns, eardrum lanced. Here, trigger sidewalks, prep for war, lined with sapling, young sapling. I retreat through thick wood doors, long fingers thrumming bass, blue drinks slaking August throats, my list of angry speeches left to simmer as guitar ignites a fire, piano smoking, my back relaxing into the sways of this good time crowd full of color. A tall jazz woman boils out a love song to all of us, and spoons it out, musk sauce brushed into marrow. All of us down for this cool bomb, this jazz, spooning jazz across our full canvas, straight from soul onto scotch, burning ice. All of us down for this cool bomb, and she throws her full indigo song into the rhythm thrum floor, fingers snapping, all here. And the specific names of trees ease into murals of shade, into murals of our children, holding their arms out, waiting for doves.
And I just want to remind you, at the end, we're going to bring Susan and Erik up to finish us off. Next up, thank you, Charles. Next up, Joanne J.
I like to talk. I found out you talk over it better. Someone said, that's your tool. You better learn how to use the mic. Thank you both for your readings today. And I never heard anyone else write drone poems. And I have one it's not family friendly, so I and I really love the shtetl poem. I was gonna read a fragment from one of Rethke's notebooks. He had 277 notebooks when he died, and this is all that they put together, and that was ambitious. He says, perhaps no person can be a poet or even enjoy poetry without a certain unsoundness of mind. I thought he all might like that. And Charles, my poem ends with arms out too, so that's I stand on this gangplank, how deep the sea. Was it a curse? Was it a dream come true? You could swim through fire, or swim with orcas near the Puget Sound. You were given strength for the battles of the heart. These are ancient shores, these are ancient times. Thunderheads mount the afternoons. You are not able to tell the truth anymore. Here, nothing's concealed, and yet you think you'll be different. You will hold back. This, the gangplank of truth, this, the one-way street. Where you stand, 1,000 planets singing an arrangement of broken dreams. Take that first step. Fling into future of seas, future of cooking pots and kettles. When your life becomes constrained, wearing you down, always remember the ancient is continuous. Thunder is star-hewn. The sea's a silent eye, unblinking. You could hold your arms out to your sides when you step out into space. And this one's short, but I think I might be a prophet, so it was a little scaring me when I read it. I wrote this about 3 years ago, how to build a fence. I was taking a walk, and I always keep a small notebook with me. And I saw somebody building it, and I just started writing this poem. How to build a fence. Buy lumber, tools, take measurements. Don't vote. Avoid eye contact with your neighbor. Neglect bird song and spring bloom. Watch a lot of TV. Don't believe Bob Marley or John Lennon. Hey, forego poetry and literature. More measuring, higher, higher. Start building, deporting. It's oblivion you seek. Look out, your mind's become a jail, walled off. Those roses of the heart forsaken. I wrote this, and here it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Next up, Brian Salisbury.
Hello. Well, I guess I'll start with a really depressing Johnny Cash song, which I'm not a big fan of country music, but he was pretty good. It's a parody of Hurt, and it's called Short, and it's about Trump shorting his stocks and making things go up and down, and he goes short or goes long, which means you make money if it goes down and it's short. Anyway, I short my stock today. You see, I made it squeal. I bet on all the pain. The profit's all that's real. My greed will make it rain. The old familiar war. Try to kill it all away. Then I go long and score. What I have become, and I'm our narcissist friend. Everyone I know goes to jail in the end. So I could have it all, my empire of dirt. I will let you down, I will make you hurt. I wear this crown of horns upon my liar's chair, full of broken tweets I cannot repair. Beneath the showers of gold, the feelings disappear. You all rot in jail, I'll make it legal here. What have I become, my only friend? Everyone I know goes to jail in the end. So I could have it all, my empire of dirt. I will let you down, I will make you hurt. I'll short my stock again for trillions more today. I'll pardon myself, I will find a way. Okay, this is, the title is a quote from Animal House, Double Secret Probation. No more fun of any kind. The gods would severely punish themselves if they knew I existed, but they don't. I would end their profitable wars. They're no good at empathy. These are designed to be the hallowed of dreams. When you have empathy with everyone, you are God and devil, everything and nothing, being and non-being. Existence precedes essence. I sing a bird into being, sinew and gristle, fairy light bones, feathers to bristle, aileron wings, flutter unfurled, lustily sings, purply absurd, tones into the world. Peck through shell beak, let your fly freak.
I like rhyme. What can I say? Thank you, Ryan. Next up, Joyce, question mark. No, I see. Joyce Salisbury. I get it. I'm a little slow today. It's the cold medication.
I really didn't come prepared. I didn't bring poems along, but I had one memorized. My old fishing poem. It's called Outside the Spinning Time. No longer any need to fish. I can feel tension taut to string the teasing time. The twist, arch, and spasm coil around cold steel. The pitch of bright egg glow, a jeweled pin worn on the tongue. In the caught lunge, the first flop, the final flop on rock. Scraping my rainbow self in the burn of air. No longer any need to fish. I wash my resting feet outside the spinning time.
Thank you, Joyce. And next up we have Paul Kipple. Klippel, I'm sorry, I didn't see the L. Is your first time here?
First time.
Excellent.
And I'm from Florence. And speaking of Florence, just a couple of quick announcements before I read my poem. We have an open mic in Florence, first Tuesday. So if you find yourself in Florence, first Tuesday of every month at the Florence Regional Arts Alliance. It starts at 7 o'clock. We usually have about 10 to 20 people there. And the other announcement is this Martin Luther King Day, Monday the 21st, we have a little celebration of the life of Martin Luther King. So if you find yourself in Florence, swing by the library.
21st.
The 21st. And just to give you an idea what it's about, come join us as we honor, celebrate, and keep Dr. King's vision of justice, service, and volunteering alive in our Florence community. Guest speakers from Sayusla Outreach, Food Share, Free Lunch, FACC, and the Warming Shelter will be there. And then we have a documentary, An American Story, Race, Amity, and Other Traditions. So, you never know when you're going to find yourself out there in Florence. I certainly didn't. This poem, I ended up being an advocate for a friend of mine who had a terrible case of bipolar. And being with an advocate, you're involved with family and doctors and psychiatrists and pharmacies and nurses and, you get to know how it all works. Social workers. So this poem came out of that. It's called The Book of Madness. No stories do eagles tell about toxic skies, or lyric salmon sing of polluted seas. The wolf composes no poem to the traps hidden on the forest floor. It's people who write stories, rhyme lyrics, compose poems to madness. But first they must account of a time before tree roots withered, when life energy pulsed, vibrated, flowed around the poles steady, even, aligned with growth, and what it felt like when it stopped, became blocked, choked in a chemical spill. Intention pens can touch the page, drill through its skin, worm-like, self-directed, piercing, aimed for the core. They can ingest the seed, taste in it the beginning, that time before blight took the tree. Everyone feels it, vesture of madness. Some say it's shifting poles, constant variations of true north. Others detect deviations in the soul, something uncompensated, like suffering getting stuck in the mud. Either way, madness reinvests. In the broken word, tangled by a web, or a lucid moment, torn from the vine that withers in the nightshade, soil of a dream. Or the marketplace behind a church, where snake oil salesmen fill prescriptions on gravestones that grow in rows. Ink-soaked diary pages compound madness of family or friend calling at night, to be talked down from a ledge, out from a cave. But individual madness takes a number, lines up in the queue, waits for collective madness to lead. Pens that dive to the depth for words, submerge into the inkwell of insanity, describe details of the Dorian Gray portrait hidden in the attic of national consciousness. They unveil it, place it upon the altar of democratic principle, reveal the distorted face of our historical soul. Here it studies the scripture of oppression, observes the shadowed face of the market. Here the scales of justice can be leveled, the books of Eden rebalanced. Here the soul's key can be recrafted, the universal power of the human heart unleashed. Yet to write about such things, divest from madness, the pen must start from the beginning. Discover the hidden sounds from the hollow reed. Vibrate with the frequency present in the soul. When the book of madness is sealed, account foreclosed, and the true story, original story of who we are, we can begin again.
Thank you, Paul. You're both from Florence, right? You came over for just this today? Thank you very much.
The Indian restaurant.
Well, there is that, but thanks for coming over. All right, next up, Jules, come get him.
Greetings, fellow poets. Welcome to the new baby, 2019. Here's a joke from the life of Albert Einstein, who was giving a lecture one day, and really erudite people asking him complicated questions. And at the back was a farmer who spoke up. He says, "I don't have a complicated question. I have a very simple question." And Einstein said, "Shoot." And he said, "Can you name the flavor of ice cream that includes all other flavors?" And Einstein gave a big smile, and he said, "Why, tutti frutti alla Rudy." Okay, I have a song lyric here, very, very important, one of the most important songs in our popular music that is totally unknown, from 1918, a prayer for universal peace after World War I, when the flowers bloom on no man's land. There's a vision always haunting me of a day I long to see, when hearts that were sad, all will be glad on this wonderful day to be. When joys take the place of fears and smiles take the place of tears. When the flowers bloom on no man's land, bringing a message of peace and love. And the cannon's roar is heard no more. What a blessing from above. When the sun shines through all the dark clouds of war, and peace covers the earth and the sea. When each mother's son has laid down his gun, what a wonderful day that will be. This is my poem that I wrote today, early this morning, deep in the fog, coup d'etat in the fog. I started out fully recognizing my surroundings, and I buoyed up my spirits and confidently strolled out into the fog. Suddenly I stopped. A blinking yellow light was buzzing in my head. Under fog's touch, your perspective is altered, and your first epiphany dawns on you. Which planet am I on? This can't be planet Earth. Obviously, you have lost your way, and your pride with it. The second epiphany seizes you, and you wonder if this is a different time and place. Somehow you have gone through a wormhole in space-time continuum, and there's no way you're going to worm your way out of it. Geez, I can't find my knees. This could be any time and anywhere. Then the third epiphany is realized. Maybe this is the primeval soup. Does anybody have any crackers? Maybe the world started this way. Or maybe it was my subconscious playing tricks on me. So let this remain a secret between you, me, and your analyst. The fourth epiphany comes, and we can't be sure what's going to happen next, and which way am I going to go, topsy or turvy. But you know that your favorite number is 5, and number 5 means the union of heaven and earth. Yea, amen. It's Epiphany number 5, and your soulmate appears out of the clouds like a dream of paradise. Her smile lights up your mind like the sun of spring melts away the frost of winter. Bonjour, monsieur. Bonjour, madame. Yea, she is your angel from heaven. Amen.
Fog soup crackers, that's one I wouldn't have thought of. Next up, Claudia Lapp.
What a great afternoon. And it was hard to get out of the house today. I've enjoyed every moment so far, and I feel like what we're doing today is a great antidote to the collective energy of fear, and which is why I brought not one of my own poems, but one that I got through Rattle, the daily poem you get from Rattle magazine in California, and sometimes does some really good work. And this one is called Your Fear, and it's by a woman named Letha Kendrick, and she was inspired by reading about Thomas Merton and his days in the monastery in Kentucky. Apparently, he only watched television once in his life. And so this is a poem that is kind of a response to that. And it's called Your Fear. Now ask yourself, who might it serve that you would grow downhearted? What do you choose to see? What will your seeing make? The news, selected and relayed, mirrored and soon 1 billion times its weight weighs on the mind that seeks it out. What is the new? The breath just drawn, the thought not yet enfleshed, the kind word being said, the stars that press unseen overhead. It's the unforeseen upon which, Poe said, we must calculate most largely. Impossible to separate misery and joy, the living edge of mystery. Time's unfolding, dauntless, holds you dear. The universe has no need of your fear. And I think by hearing poems together, and poems that are so, at once so playful and yet so soulful about what's going on in the human psyche, and having people share that is one of the best antidotes. And certainly, I felt that in every reader, and especially with Erik and Susan, and your playfulness, and your writing about, the joys of eating and the joys of playing with colors, and so that's it. I had a poem that was kind of, I didn't think was quite worthy of coming here, and I should have brought it because it was about gloves with no fingers, and it was, and in that, the gloves began to speak. So that's the poem you missed. This is the one I brought. Yeah. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Claudia. Next up, okay, we have 5 more poets. Sabina Stark. All right.
Hi, folks. I brought a poem that I was thinking about the aboutness of it, and what it's about is that sense of when you love someone that they've been present invisibly in throughout your life. So that's kind of what this is. You might be the friend I ran and hid with behind the park fence in Manhattan, where we touched each other's small, secret bodies and protected each other from boys who used bad words we didn't know yet. Do you remember? We watched the tired old drunks talk on concrete benches that smelled like alcohol and piss. Did you look for me in the gray slush and burning sidewalks when I didn't come back? Or maybe you're the tomboy who collected tadpoles with me between rocks in New Jersey, who wasn't afraid to walk far away along the water into a new Eden we could name and discover in late afternoon adventures. Or that girl on the train from the East Coast to California, my freckled playmate who disappeared into the crowd when the train pulled out. Did you know how my heart dangled in the grip of my mother's hand when she led me away before I could say goodbye? Maybe you're that smart kid who let me kiss her just after school, who knew so much about the absence of God and justice, and walked with firm legs and tiny breasts to her house where all the plates matched. You could be the woman who sang in my restless dreams, the seductress who taught me to reach for my fantasies, or the sister who tried to die in our mother's womb, the stoned woman-child who survived jail and foster fathers because she was afraid to go home, the dancer who taught me that the newest steps are danced in juvenile hall no matter what. You might be the music spinning in my head that lets me know I'm always free. So who are you, runaway face?
Next up is my pool playing friend Sam.
Alrighty.
So I just have two. Hi, how are you? Anyway. Oh, to the beat generation, paving the way for future poets to express themselves in words and to shout out their thoughts to the world through wine-induced drive, to express yourself, your true selves, with great jazz music, soothing beats in the background, flowing like ageless words to a beat that doesn't and can't stop. Misunderstood rebels expressing themselves through jazz and marijuana, changing the world with their strange points of views, hanging out in the alleys behind city lights where people sleeps in the corners upstairs and no one cares. Naked pictures of Allen Ginsberg on postcards. Oh, to the great dead beats of my heart, still alive in the world and forever will be till it cease to turn. Stuck in an orbit in a universe of my own built by dreams that came from my brain and heart. Two organs combining to make stories for the universe to display for all to see. Dreams flooding the night sky, trapped in an orbit around everyone's heart. And now you become a world, an actual planet orbiting the universal heart that is always and always was. And now our thoughts always flow from our heads. Transferring to paper for others to hear and read, a new universe with endless hopes and dreams, with actually people willing to give in to their dreams and orbit around you all. Your dreams, your thoughts, it never ends, just like the universe.
Thank you, Sam. Next up, I should say, it's really nice to have a mix of poets from different genres and different elements, different communities within our poet community. So having some folks from Kush and Page 2 Poetry, which is where I like to read, in addition to here and many other places. But it's nice to have a mix of poets. Savannah Rose.
Hi, everybody. Okay. I lost the one I was going to read. Okay, I'll just read this one. It's called Every Year I Write 2 Poems on the Lessons of that Year. So this reflection is on the Lessons of 32. Reflections in the mirror, the monsters that stare back are 100% real, with no reason to fear. Just your imperfections on show. Give that look a name, embrace it, because it is what makes you. Real in a sense that matters. Everything comes from full church, or circle, or whatever is your perception. Build your bulge, the life kind of ambiance that drives creative force 24/7. Don't forget to hydrate yourself. Sometimes your elements change focus, from ever-changing river currents to grounding roots into plotted soil. You plant the seeds you sow, reap time invested in growth. Universal gifts cease to exist when expectation is served on the table. I prefer my whiskey rye on rocks with ginger beer, cheering on only the ones that grow me into the next chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, Savannah. We have come to the end of the open mic. We're going to close the show with our two features. Susan, you find something you want to share?
All right, this is another one from the Middle East. It's called Men on Donkeys. From the edges and core of Abu Samra to the souk or beyond, to Bab Tabani or Almina, every afternoon, every evening they return, or most return. There may be something in their baskets, cucumbers or tomatoes, or no baskets, no produce. They go to work, maybe, pick olives. One may sit in a shop all day smoking nargile, or one may smoke nargile and play trick-track outside the cafe. And maybe there is hashish. The days are long. One may drink coffee all day. One may go from the bed of wife number 2 to the kitchen of wife number 1. One may tie his donkey by the seawall and fish. Some dismount and face a villa's wall to urinate. That corner reeks. You might think this is a peaceful place, but it is torn by bombs and ripped apart regularly. Even the trick-track players carry pistols.
Close us out, Erik Muller.
I think of this as a New Year's poem. With others, I'm digging a ditch. I rest on my shovel. I look around. Who are these others? They do not sort by age, race, gender. They go at the work with great zeal. Does any of us know how long the ditch should be? Do we get a break when the sun lifts overhead? Maybe a cup of water. Wouldn't things go better if we sang a song? Does anyone know a song?
So can you feel the words that we've shared today hanging in this space? It's got a quietness that it didn't have an hour ago. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you carry some of this feeling home with you, and it helps you find more words. Thank you all for coming.